Hick Studio. This is Shaggy.
Hey, what's up? Don Jamieson here.
Don frickin' Jamieson. How you doing, my man?
Everything's cool.
Man,
how about yourself?
You know what? No complaints at all. Actually, I'm still getting off the high from that Hookers and Blow show a couple months ago, right?
Well, yeah, and I definitely am still buzzing from that because when you're in a near-death situation, just moments before you go on and do a show, it always brings out, just a little more excitement and energy.
I feel that. Now, for the listeners who don't know what you're talking about, you had a little bit of a rough ride getting to the Idaho Falls show. Why don't you tell us about it?
Well, we performed in Jackson Hole the night before, and as does happen, there was a blizzard. And of course, when you're traveling in a band called Hookers and Blow, what could go wrong will go wrong. So in many, many inches and feet of snow, we were actually sent a driver to get us to our show in Idaho Falls, which we heard, it's sold out, it's going to be packed. And so we said, well, we got to make it. And they came and got us, and myself and Dizzy Reed from Guns N' Roses and his wife got picked up, and we're driving over the Teton Pass. And the lights are blinking, and they're ready to close the pass off, and we just hit the gas and go through. And at that moment, I'm just thinking, it's so beautiful. If I died right now, it wouldn't be the worst place in the world to die. I was like on the side of this beautiful snow-covered mountain. Plus, if, let's say I survived and like Dizzy didn't make it, then like I could eat his body, and I could eat the body of a Rock and Roll Hall of Famer to survive. That would be a cool story.
Well, it'll bring you some sort of, sustenance, and maybe you'll get magical, guitar playing powers or something.
Or keyboards as he plays. But
exactly.
Yeah, it was, it was scary, but it was kind of peaceful at the same time. Like I said, those mountains are so beautiful when it snows. But yeah, we made it, and you guys, as everybody in Idaho Falls, made us feel great. It was the best show of the tour. But like I said, when you have the Grim Reaper following you around all day, when you finally get on stage and you can release that energy and all that anxiety, man, it felt so good.
Oh, for sure. And Hookers and Blow, they came here a couple years back, and they were fantastic. And you were awesome, too. I think a comedy act opening up for a rock band is just pure genius.
Well, there's a fine line between genius and just being a fool. But I guess that's a line that I've ridden for most of my career. My world is the rock world as well,
Sure.
Doing 14 seasons of that metal show and, continued, doing podcasts and things, where I interview rock guys. And most of my friends are in the rock world. So, those two worlds colliding for me has been awesome. I love the challenge going out and opening up for a rock band. And then when I go back and play a comedy club, I got to kind of remind myself, okay, Don, relax, take it easy on these people. They're seated. They're here to have a nice night. It's not like the rock crowd where you really got to come out swinging.
Oh,
but
sure.
I love both.
Exactly. Well, and I think rock and comedy is a great mix. I remember when I was in high school, I had some bands here and there, and we played the local clubs and whatnot. I remember showing up to one show, and they're like, all right, so you're going to go on, and then this comedy act is going to go on, and then another band, and then a comedy act. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? Apparently, it was a night of rock and comedy, and I was really skeptical. But then when the show actually happened, it worked, and it worked really well. And so that's why the Hookers and Blow tour with Don Jamieson opening up worked really well, too.
Wow. Well, thank you. And I appreciate that. And like I said, I love doing it. But, there was something special about our show there in Idaho, meeting you and so many cool fans there.
Sure.
Really made the whole experience. And, we drank a lot of Jaeger off the Jaeger ski. And we just really had a great time with everybody, man. What a cool night it was.
No doubt about that. Now, the reason I wanted to have you on the show today, you've got a brand new album coming out.
Yes, my fifth stand-up album, in keeping with the tradition of incorporating some kind of the rock scene in it. All my album covers are parodies of my favorite bands and albums. So
Yes.
This one is, the classic Motorhead live album, No Sleep Till Hammersmith. Well, I I made it called No Sleep Till McSorley's, which is an old pub in New York where I recorded the album, and it was really the perfect setting because, my humor is for beer drinkers and hellraisers. So, it ended up being just the perfect setting, an old ale house opened in 1863. So old, Abe Lincoln actually drank at McSorley. So legendary place.
See, I think you need to go back to that venue, do a comeback set on President's Day dressed as Abe Lincoln.
That's actually not a bad idea.
Right? I have a few.
Yeah, no, that's funny. But yeah, it was such a cool place to do it. And there's a little something for everybody on the album. A lot of stuff about this crazy world we live in, and just all the new terminology that everybody's using, and the usual dating stuff. And I take a few shots at Hollywood, of course, and I take a few shots at politics. But we ended on all the music stuff because to me, you got to have a happy ending at the end of the set. And so the whole end of the album is all about bands and music and all our favorite rock bands. Like I said, a little something for everybody, and it's out April 19th. You could pre-order it now on all your favorite streaming services.
Perfect. I already have it pre-downloaded on Apple Music, although I should buy a physical copy as well.
Well, yes, I'm going to have, at my live shows, I'll have CDs, and I will have vinyl at some point in the year as well. So, again, rock is such a visual thing. I use the actual artwork for people familiar with No Sleep Till Hammersmith. That cover is iconic.
Yes.
And I use the actual artwork and just Photoshop myself in there. And thanks to all the people at, Motorhead's management who were kind enough to let me use that artwork and the classic Motorhead font. And I got Phil Campbell, their old guitar player, to play a guitar intro for me. So, yeah, the whole theme is obviously all around Motorhead. But like I said, what's inside is pretty much for anybody. If you like stuff that's edgy and, it's definitely not PC.
Yeah.
So, we're adults. We're allowed to laugh.
Hey, that's right. We live in Idaho. We don't care about that stuff.
I found that out, yes.
There you go, man. So this album is officially Motorhead approved.
Yeah, it was crazy. So McSorley's is a pub that I've been going to for decades. And I was in there one day with some friends, and I said, I gotta think of a place to record my new album. And as I'm talking about it, I'm looking around realizing, this is New York history right here. I live in Jersey, but McSorley's is like a meeting place for, friends, so we don't get disconnected. Mm-hmm. And the more I talked and looked around, I realized, wait a minute, I should just record it right here. But they've never done really live performances in there or anything. Yeah, but it looks like a museum when you go in there because it's just the history on the walls and everything is really incredible in terms of visuals. So, I also filmed it for a special, which will come out soon as well. But it just became a no-brainer the more I talked about it. No, let's do it here. And really within an hour, I'd come up with the name, No Sleep Till McSorley's. I contacted Motorhead's management. I contacted Phil Campbell. I got the owner of McSorley's on the phone. I said, how much to rent this place out so I could record an album? She's like, how long you been coming here? I said, about 30 years. She's like, you paid enough. So we got the place for free, and I re-signed a deal with Metal Blade Records, who I've done all my stand-up albums with, and that was all in about an hour of day drinking. So don't say day drinking isn't productive.
I love it. That's how you do it, man. And like I was saying, I love that you're incorporating the Motorhead stuff in there. In fact, I've been listening to a lot of Motorhead lately. I'm just throwing it on shuffle, and I've come to realize I don't think Motorhead ever made a bad album.
Yeah, I don't think any bad albums. Obviously over the years, some better than others.
Sure.
But when people ask you, it can almost not go wrong by recommending pretty much any Motorhead albums. And Lemmy was my hero.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to kind of get to know him a little bit, like the last 5 or 6 years, and he was always super cool to me. And I go by the same principles they do. Don't let them bastards grind you down. And,
sure.
Lemmy's famous quote about the longevity of Motorhead is he said, if you don't quit, they can't get rid of you. And that worked great for me in comedy. Like when people really doubted me, it was like, well, if I don't quit, they can't get rid of me. So, I love all this stuff that Lemmy and Motorhead stood for, that was a band that had integrity and they stood up for what they believed in, and that applies to what I do too.
Exactly. And I've heard nothing but good things about Lemmy. And I mean, plus, I don't know if you're a fan of professional wrestling, but Motorhead, I think, is the only metal band to play at WrestleMania.
Well, I know they played, right? Because they did the song for Triple H.
Yeah, they did, I think, 3 separate songs for Triple H throughout his career. And every single one of them were absolute bangers.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Rest in peace, Lemmy. As much as it was sad to lose him, if you really think about it, he lived a true rock and roll lifestyle. So he lived to 70, but that's like 140 human years.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, rock and roll legend says, I don't know if this is true, but rock and roll legend says that Lemmy drank a bottle of Jack Daniels every single day.
And he smoked Marlboro Reds, and he never apologized. But the thing is, with him, he never had to apologize. Like Lemmy, you never heard the stories over the years about, Lemmy and Motorhead, they trashed their hotel rooms or they were accused of anything with ladies who might have made their way backstage. Like they were never super out of control, but they lived the life for sure. And now I can't live that life because they were like the Olympic athletes of drinking and partaking in other kind of powders and things. But, you give me a few Miller Lights and a shot of Jaeger, I'm good to go.
Hey, sometimes that's all you need. Now, I want to go back actually to your last album. When we were in Idaho Falls, you actually gave me a copy of your album, Denim and Laughter, of course, a parody off Saxon's Denim and Leather. And I have to say, the album was fantastic. I probably listened to it 3 times in my truck, and I'm just laughing by myself at a stoplight. People probably think I'm insane.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, that was another one that I was with the guys in Saxon, and Biff, their singer's like, you have all your albums are parodies of your favorite band. You haven't done a Saxon one yet. And I was like, yeah, I go, you're right. I go, let's come up with them. I started going through the songs in my mind and, Denim and Leather, and I go, Denim and Laughter. And he goes, that's it. So that's another one created, and I used the actual artwork from Saxon. So it's so cool to get everyone's approval for me to do this, and they get a kick out of it. And they know, I wear the rock and roll comic badge proudly on my sleeve, man.
As you should. And I mean, as far as I know, you're really the only guy who's doing that. I mean, Jim Brewer, he has a couple rock and roll jokes here and there, but I think you're really the only guy doing it consistently.
Well, thanks. Yeah. And, mentioned Brewer, who's, incredible. I remember the winter 2019, I was out on the road with a band called Pop Evil.
Oh yeah,
Brewer was out. Yeah, Brewer was out with Metallica, and Larry the Cable Guy was out with Styx. I'm like, oh my god, this is the weirdest time in history ever, where these 3 comics are out with these 3 bands, and all at the same time. And I just thought it was all so cool. And you got to bring the heat when you open for a rock band. You can't go out and start working the crowd. Has anybody got a birthday here? It's not like that.
Yeah.
You got to go out there and talk about music and bands and musicians and things like that, and keep it in the family, because I'm direct support to these bands. So they need me to come out with the same energy as an opening band. And that's what I try to do. That's why I said, like, sometimes I get back after a tour with a band and I'm like in a comedy club and I'm like, super hyped up, and I got to remind myself to slow down a little.
I think it definitely has to be the right band for a comedian to open up. I mean, could you imagine a comedian opening up for like Behemoth, like some crazy satanic band? Would the crowd take it? I don't know.
I mean, maybe if, you had a lot of Satan jokes, it could work. But I've got a few, but I don't think I'm ready for Behemoth. But no, you're right. The band, this has to be something sort of inherently funny or fun, or it's a band that's known to have a good sense of humor. And that's where it really works the best.
Oh, I definitely agree with you. Now, your Denim and Laughter album, if I remember right, it was recorded in a barn, right?
No, but, that's another theme of my albums is I love to do them in sort of oddball places.
Sure.
So hence, the new one at McSorley's, who've never done a show, but the atmosphere, like I said, of the beer drinking hell-raising crowd. No, I recorded Denim and Laughter in a speakeasy.
That's right.
In
I don't
Los
know why
Angeles.
I thought barn, but that'd be a cool place too, a barn.
Well, that could be the next one, because I would consider that for sure. But yeah, I found out that there was an illegal club in Los Angeles that the county did not know about. And it turned out the guy that ran it, his girlfriend was a friend of mine. So I did it there, and I thought, wow, what a cool place. Like, we have to send out secret invites to people, and how cool would it be, like, if the album ended where the cops, like, raid the place and, like, drag me out of there. So, but it didn't happen, but that would have been cool.
That would have been cool, no doubt about it. I mean, with the price of liquor license nowadays, I understand why it may have been an illegal club.
Right, yeah, exactly. Right, but they had it decorated like an old speakeasy in the Great Depression days and the Prohibition days, and full bar and bartender, and the guy who ran it was a sound guy, so the whole room was wired for sound. So I said, yeah, this is where my material belongs. It belongs in these kind of like out of the way places, like where it's kind of a little dangerous, because comedy, like rock and roll, is best when it's dangerous.
Yeah. No doubt about that. Now, real quick, with the celebration of No Sleep Till McSorley's coming out April 19th, I wanted to run by your next album, okay? I know it's not written yet or anything, but I like to look in the future. So I actually came up with some ideas for you for some titles for your next album. Take them or leave them, but if you like them, you have my full permission to use them, all right?
Hit me.
Okay, so first, how about keeping on the laughter theme, No Life Till Laughter, like the first Metallica demo tape.
Or we could do Ride the Laughter.
Oh, that's good too.
The Lightning.
That's good too. Yeah. We could do Back to Yak, like Back in Black. I'm back to Yak. Some of these aren't the best, but I'm trying here. Now, this one would require a very specific venue. You'd have to get a gig at the Comedy Cellar, but you could do Out of the Comedy Cellar. Like Out of the Cellar by Rat.
Out of the Cellar by Rat. Yeah. The one I still have to do, and this is actually what keeps me more in the comedy business than having any demand for me whatsoever, which is, I got to get all my favorite bands, parodied on these albums.
Yes.
So I'm going to come back on another time, and you'll have a list of Alice Cooper titles for me. That's what I really need, Alice Cooper stuff.
I can do that. I do have, I have one Megadeth one and one Judas Priest one. So
okay, hit me.
Megadeth, joking is my business and business is good.
Love it. Love it.
And then my personal favorite, coming off of Judas Priest Stained Class, you could do Stained Ass.
Well, that could have a few different meanings.
Sure,
there, but,
exactly. I mean, take what you will. Like I said, these are probably awful ideas. If you want them, take them. But yes, I will work on the Alice Cooper titles for you.
That would be great, man. And I really appreciate the support for this record. And like I said, it means a lot to me, to be able to talk directly to some rock people and of course to you. And again, that night in Idaho Falls was just so cool, man. You guys you made us feel like rock stars. You really did. As cliche as that sounds, it really felt good to have a crowd with that much energy and enthusiasm. So always appreciated.
No problem, man. Thanks for joining me today. Once again, your brand new album, No Sleep Till McSorley's. You can pre-save it on Apple, Spotify. Physical copies going to be sold at your show, correct?
Correct, yep.
So go and check that out. April 19th, mark your calendar, some brand new Don Jamieson. Now, before I let you go, just one more thing. Obviously, a classic That Metal Show weekly segment was the weekly picks that you guys used to do. Now, here on my station, I like to do Shaggy's picks, where every day at 5 o'clock, I actually pick whatever song I want. It could be anything from the Rolling Stones to Saxon, whatever. So my question is, what would Don Jamieson's pick of the day be? Anything you want.
Well, we're on the Motorhead theme, so let's go with it with a classic Motorhead tune. I'll leave it to you, whichever one you want to throw down. Like we said, there's not too many bad apples in that music catalog. So
how about let's take it to the Overkill album? You like No Class?
Sounds perfect. It's very appropriate, yes.
Hey, I like it. Don Jamieson, you are the man once again. Brand new album, No Sleep Till McSorley's coming out April 19th. Anything else you want to say?
Just again, thank you, Shaggy, my man. Appreciate it.
Hey, no problem at all. Don Jamieson, thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate it.
All right, take care, brother.
Hey, you too. You have a good one.